All right. Spark and Plug Talks. This is season 2. This is episode 7. I think this is 7. We're already on 7. That's fucking wild. And today's
Good on you for keeping track.
well, I got to mentally do a checklist thing before it starts. Otherwise, I'll just be like, Jared's not
whatever.
Jared's not here to keep me on track again. We miss you, Jared. Fly high, my friend. He's not dead. He's just missing. But anyways, our guest today is the fantastic, songbird himself. Where'd you say you were from, Trenton?
Originally from Fox, Oklahoma.
Fox, Oklahoma. The fleeting, fantastic Fox of Fox. Trenton Fletcher.
Thank you guys for having me, man.
Man, thanks so much for coming out, man. Driving 2 hours on your. Appreciate it a whole lot.
How big is Fox, Oklahoma?
Dude, this
Is it gonna beat Wellston?
That was the answer right there.
It beats Wellston. I graduated with 24 people.
Wow.
We had 50?
We had 50.
That was our biggest class in like 20 years.
We were the biggest class in probably 10.
Wow.
I graduated with 24 people. We were Class B, borderline class. Actually, we were Class C in football for the last 2 years. Just like 8-man football school. Didn't even have baseball. Not even a gas station in town.
Hey, we had a gas station, Dollar General.
Yeah, well, we got the Dollar General.
Dollar General.
Raleigh City got a Dollar General. That was my senior year, and we were stoked.
Yeah, I remember when Dollar General got put in.
I'm about to drink so much fucking milk.
You know what comes in with Dollar General? Fucking Sonic. We're gonna get a Sonic, dude. And then everybody's like, "When are we gonna get a Sonic?" I mean, I've been hearing so many rumors about getting Sonic. Yeah, we never got one.
It's like that Buc-ee's rumor in El Reno. That's been
That
going
is
around
such
for
Why
years.
would they ever
El
put a
Reno?
Buc-ee's in El Reno?
Dude, I don't care. I would go to El Reno to hang out just because there's a Buc-ee's
You
there.
bet your sweet ass
Dude, I'm
I
in
would.
Yukon, so I'm definitely gonna go to El
I
Reno.
fucking love Buc-ee's. That's heaven on earth.
I
right
keep
there,
seeing that
man.
on Twitter, but I've seen the same post like 4 times in the last 3 years.
Go and get
this
that
ain't happening.
fucking turkey melt or they have. God damn, that
Make
turkey
me
melt
salivate
so good,
right
dude.
here. Drool over this fucking mic.
We stop
Man,
at Buc-ee's every chance we get.
Are you familiar with
Oh God.
did you ever get the
I know exactly where he's
the
going.
chili cheese dog burrito there before they discontinued it?
Oh.
I think it went against like FDA guidelines or something. It did. It was fucked, dude. If you went and selected, there was like a hidden menu, and if you it was like a chili dog burrito with Fritos. This was a Frito chili dog burrito, but there's an option to double dog dare it. You get 2 wieners in there, and then you get some sour cream in there.
And let me tell you,
Those burritos,
when this thing was packed,
this motherfucker wouldn't even close.
Full house,
And
huh?
I'd eat that shit while I was driving, dude. It was just
this was the grand slam.
It was a
of
colon
Buc-ee's.
cleaner, dude. It was
That is crazy.
yeah, and they took that shit away.
Dude, so there's Buc-ee's everywhere, and then you go to West Texas, you see Allsup's everywhere on the road. Can't remember where I was this past week. Somewhere in western Oklahoma, and there was an Allsup's out there. And I'd never seen one in Oklahoma. I don't know if I'm just missing them and not paying attention, but I'd never seen an Allsup's in Oklahoma before this week.
And Allsup's?
Yeah.
That sounds familiar. Isn't that a West Texas thing?
Yeah, it's a West Texas
I've
thing. And I
never
think I was
seen
out
one
by
even
Weatherford.
in Oklahoma.
I think I was between
Dude,
Weatherford.
has weird shit, man. You know they have a Quiznos out in the Weatherford?
Really?
A fucking Quiznos in a bank.
That has to be like one of like 8 remaining.
Something like that, dude. I don't, ironically, I think I looked that up because I remember telling you, I was like, dude,
They have a
I was out there
Blockbuster.
for a job install and I ate at a fucking Quiznos.
I remember this. Yeah.
And
you remember
I
that
had to-
fucking commercial with the Quiznos commercial with the fucking was it the hand with like the
Yeah.
It was the most
Yeah.
annoying. It was like it always sounded like when Cartman did the tacos thing. It was like,
taco.
yeah, that's what it fucking that commercial sucks. dude.
Speaking of Weatherford, I've got this thing I do on the road where I'm on a lifelong quest to find the best combination of gas station chicken strips and homemade ranch at these gas stations.
Oh,
and
God.
I've
Jesus, man,
got
that's-
a few good ones, and they all seem
You
to
and
be
my
close
wife
to
both.
home. They all seem to be close to home, though, and I'm a sucker for good ranch. I always say you can judge an establishment by its quality of ranch dressing.
I heard that.
If that ain't the damn.
Well,
if they got the Ken's Ranch,
Oklahoma's is
Dude,
That's
yeah,
the fucking
but-
Fox, Oklahoma.
But speaking of
Oh,
Weatherford,
bro.
dude, they've got these Cajun spicy chicken strips that are like huge at this one gas station they're coming into town. And they've got badass ranch at 69 cents per container, which is perfect. And every time I'm leaving Weatherford, I grab 2 or 3 of them things and hit the road.
What do these chickens look like? They're that fucking.
Dude, they gotta be jacked.
That's not chickens, brother.
Hey, they're
That's
good.
a fucking possum.
That's
You're
well,
an
damn it,
ostrich.
they're good though.
They are. I'm not gonna ask questions I don't want to know the answer to.
Oh hell, man. Well, god damn. All
Shout
right.
out that gas
Well-
station, whatever it's called.
You know who you are.
I'm looking for a sponsorship.
They're like,
For
fuck,
real.
man. They found out we were using possum. Use armadillo for fish bowls too.
Man,
Makes a good soup bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
Trenton, when'd you start listening to music and thinking this is what I want to do, man? Let's go back to the canon event,
Okay.
the lore of Trenton Fletcher.
Well, I'll back up a little bit further than that. I started playing guitar when I was 11.
And you had no interest in music. It was strictly chicks.
Well,
I'm just
no, I was in band before anything. I played saxophone for a long little while.
Oh, shit.
And then
That's
I
cool.
switched over to drums in high school, and I was playing guitar the whole time throughout that. Took some lessons when I was 11. That didn't last long. Guy was teaching me his house burned down, and he moved to Oklahoma City, and so I just kind of got stuck where I was. You know, I was learning some scales and stuff early on, and then I just went back to chords and avoiding minor chords. Like it was just the basic, just 10-year journey of major chords and not wanting to play a B minor. So I did that forever, and
All my homies hate B minor.
yeah, once I got over that hump, it was a lot more interesting. But fast forward, I get introduced to cross Canadian ragweed when I'm probably 9 years old, 10 years old. And I always remember that song, Dimebag Darrell. You know, it was just in my head forever. And my dad walked out of a Hastings with this CD, that garage record, when I was 9 or 10.
Mhm.
And I remember taking it and listening to it for a long time, and then I lost it. And that was kind of like I found Red Dirt and lost Red Dirt all in the same moment. And like I didn't know anything else about the music scene for a while. I got in high school. I think I started listening to definitely listen to like that Cody Jinks Adobe record. I don't know. I found Ragweed and Mike McClure in there somewhere in high school, and really
That's
started
pretty
taking
interesting, man. That's like really because I don't know. So like, were you digging into more like just CDs and stuff like that, or just what? Or were you like listening to radio or anything like that, or was it just kind of?
I mean, I was always kind of into. I've always been into like all genres of music. Then I was probably more into like classic rock and like radio country. And I just in passing, like I'd find a CD here or there,
Yeah.
or like Spotify was starting to take off, and like I'd find some songs on Spotify. But really, it was just rap and rock then. You know, playing sports in high school, and just kind of wasn't really focused on music.
Okay, yeah, because I was just curious, like if that was the because I think we were kind of the same way. You know, like we had
We
little
had the Hastings
branches,
experience.
yeah, you know,
too.
little branches of like, wow, this music's really cool. For us, it was grunge music. It was like,
Yeah.
so we were like, man, this music's really cool. But at the same time, it was like just really a pounding of like, just current radio hits and stuff like that. And it's
Yeah.
just weird, in that kind of way.
Well, I get to OBU. I guess it'd be 2016. Went there to play football for a couple of years. In my freshman year, had a bunch of buddies actually from around this area to come to Shawnee and kind of get reintroduced to like the broader scene and start getting kind of learned up on what's going on. And at this time, I'm just kind of playing guitar in my dorm at parties from
Yeah.
buddies and stuff. And I had been writing a few songs over the last few years in high school and stuff, and didn't really like do it with a purpose. Was just kind of doing it just to like see if I could.
Mhm.
And then I started playing some songs for my friends, and they liked them. I was like, that's kind of weird. Like they like the way that they sound. That's strange to me. And then I went to an open mic at Libby's Cafe in Goldsby, Oklahoma,
Wow.
my freshman year with my roommate, Braden Hobbs.
Do you remember what songs you played there?
I played some Whiskey Myers songs, played some Cody Jinks tunes. I had some old stuff. One was called Train to Nowhere. One was called All Right. Another one was Oklahoma Bread. I actually recorded that one at the Boo Hatch later on. And it was just like the first few songs I'd ever written. I started playing at these open mics, and I just got really interested in writing then. And I would just kind of listen to my influences and just kind of be like, okay, I want to like do things in this style.
Yeah.
And just started writing a lot of shitty songs. And eventually, I think I played my first gig in 2017 at this place called Kendall's Bar. It used to be a strip club in OKC.
Hell yeah.
And I think we played 4 hours straight for $20 a piece.
Good
My
Lord.
roommate and I. And we thought that was the coolest thing ever. Like, we can get home, we can go to Taco Bell. Like, so they just paid us money to play a show. And I was hooked at that moment on. I was like, I got to figure out how to do this better. And at the same time, my other roommate at the time, Chase Garrison, his dad was the drummer for a band called Riders Forward, and they're based at OKC.
Is he still a drummer or not?
Yeah, they're still the drummer. They're older. They're still playing though.
They played at that the tumbleweed thing.
The Battle of the Bands. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, that name sounds really familiar.
Yeah,
they played
and
at Battle of the Bands.
Whenever I was 18 years old, and I'm hopping on their bus that they have, and going to all these state fairs or wherever they're playing, and they're letting me just hop on the bus and see what's going on. They're letting me open up acoustic, just throw me on the stage, and taking care of me. And I'm like, well, if I want to do this, like, I need to learn what's going on. And so I would just kind of pay attention to how they're running sound, like how they organize a set list, like just, when they take breaks, if they did, like just everything that they did, I just kind of soaked in. I was like, okay, well, this is all going to be useful at some point.
Man, that's a fantastic, just experience at that.
It was.
age.
I'm so thankful for that. And I've been talking about this a lot lately. It seems like it's come up a lot just because I think it is so important in kind of like how I built my mindset towards putting together songs and live performances. And it's grown since then. And there's been other bands I've been around that I've just kind of observed what they've done too. And I think that's all it is. Like, you can kind of not necessarily expedite the process, but you can definitely help yourself out by just paying attention to what other people are doing that's working and just kind of implementing it into your own game plan in the music scene. And I've just always kind of approached it as meet who you can meet, be respectful to everybody, be nice to everybody. You never know who's going to be who later on, and just be friends with everyone.
Yeah, totally.
And, scratch someone else's back, they'll scratch yours. And
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's evident in just going from playing it to what was it, Tilly's? What was the place down in Goldsby?
Libby's Cafe.
Libby's Cafe.
Yeah.
Going from Libby's
On
Cafe to.
Wednesday.
I mean, man, now how many shows do you think you play? You average out a year or something like that. Here, it seems like
man.
you're playing all the time.
Man, I don't know. I need to add this up because it's been this is the second year straight that it's been consistently full band stuff. But it was just as many shows 2 years ago because it was all the full band stuff I could put together, but I was also booking a ton of acoustic stuff.
Mhm.
And then I had my residencies at the time in Stillwater. So I was probably playing more nights per week 2 years ago. And that was, on average, probably 4 nights a week on average throughout the
Wow.
entire year. But that's, 3 acoustic gigs and give or take 1 or 2 full band
That's
shows
crazy,
on the weekend.
man.
And like that, I was just trying to get as much experience as I could because I had a lot of faith that things are going to happen if I continue down this path. So I just need to soak up everything I can in the moment.
For
and,
sure.
just meet everybody I can meet right now and play as many acoustic gigs as I can right now because I know later on I only want to do full band stuff at a certain point and just kind of cherish those while they're still a part of what I got going.
Yeah. Do you have any methods of taking care of your voice or anything? Singing that much?
So whenever I started getting really busy, year and a half, 2 years ago, the first time we went on a 3-day run, we went to West Texas, and I had done, 3 days acoustic, 4 days acoustic in a row, but 3 days full band is like a different thing.
Yeah, a whole different animal.
You can kind of like tone yourself down and, control the dynamics of what's going on if you're just playing by yourself acoustic, but you can't necessarily back off if you're playing with a band backing you. And so, like, to speak to your question,
Find the strain is a little different.
yeah, like I've experimented with different warm ups and definitely getting warmed up is ultimately
yeah,
key.
for sure.
Haven't really found any warm ups that I consistently do because I kind of get bored with them. But what I do like
I
doing,
do the really annoying ones that Aaron hates.
See, I do. I will do those if I'm like really struggling one day and like I know that I have to work out whatever's working out. But most of the time, I can get by with, a couple hours before sound check. I'll like just put on songs that I like to sing, and I'll
Yeah.
just like every other song I'll kind of go hard, and I just kind of work myself in on the drive to
Yeah,
sound check.
yeah.
Is what tends to happen most of the time, and then just kind of stay loose right before the show. But I drink a ton of water. I eat honey, drink honey, however you want to phrase it. I live off of
Suck
honey.
it down.
Yeah, like honey. I go through bottles of honey like no other, just daily, just
Trenton
guzzle
the
it.
bee, Fletcher.
Literally, dude. I'm a firm believer in honey. I'm feeling really bad. They got these things at Starbucks called medicine balls you can get, and it's just a whole bunch of hot lemonade, hot tea, honey, like all these spices. It's just kind of like clears you up. It's pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
But
are they worth the $7 or whatever?
well, I think these are only like $4. Like it's basically just hot tea. But I love hot tea. Like I haven't lately, but usually I'll have hot tea like every evening before I go to bed.
Yeah, definitely. Do you really focus on like, I know we're getting into kind of the weeds, but as a vocalist, I just like picking people's brains. But do you focus on like your diaphragm control and everything like that?
Yeah.
Because I find that sometimes if I really get into a performance, you got to be like disciplined enough to remember that, because then you'll strain yourself on one note and it's like, oh fuck, the rest of this show is gonna be a little rough, you know?
Yeah, it's like that is accurate, and this is something I've like been experimenting with lately. Is, you know, like you can put all your air and energy at the top. I think of it in terms of like top to bottom. I guess your diaphragm's the bottom, but like if you focus all your air at the end of the passageway where the note's coming out, like I've noticed I'm more likely to lose my voice at that point. So like I guess if I can bring it from my diaphragm from down, it seems to last me better. And like I'll do a lot of breathing exercises too. Especially on days where I know I'm gonna have to strain. Like, you know, those days when you know it's gonna be hard. Like I'll do some hardcore like breathing exercises, and but that's a process I'm constantly trying to tweak and learn. Because I don't know much about it. I just kind of know what doesn't work, and then I'll try other things that see if they work.
And it's like we were talking about earlier. You're saying YouTube's your best friend.
Yeah,
it's like you know, I started getting to the point where I was like, you know, we'd practice and I'd sing for like 3, 4, 4.5 hours, or you know, whatever, and then at the end I'd be like, I don't think my voice is supposed to feel like this, you know, like I feel like I've kind of pushed it a little. Like, do professional singers, like do people who are on the road all the time, do they feel like this?
Yeah, and they gotta be doing.
I was like, man, there's got to be. So I just get on YouTube, and sure enough, people were like, you know, if you feel like you're doing this, if you feel like you're, you know, topping out on your head voice, if you feel like you're squeezing your larynx too much, you're going to fuck yourself up. Like, you keep doing it like this. So then I was like, oh shit, I won't do that.
Yeah, you saying it like that is exactly like, that makes way more sense than how I described it, probably.
Oh, no. You,
well, that sounds
made
right.
Perfect sense. What you were saying, you know, like I 100% totally feel what you're saying. And, you know, I was just curious because, like, I've been, like, some old school guys, like, you know, my dad or my uncle, whatever, you know, they're just like I've asked them about it. I've been like, you know what, when you're singing and you get that, like, almost like a burning feeling kind of in the back of your throat, you know, like, what do you do? And they're just like, oh, I just stop. And I'm like, oh, okay.
You smoke a pack of cigarettes. Dude.
Yeah. They're just like, then it's time for a beer. You know, I'm like, oh, okay.
I usually take a shot.
I was like, I don't know if that's. I was like, I don't see like Adele doing that. I feel like she's not, you know. But
yeah, if it's like last resort, I'll like go for a couple shots of whiskey and just hope the best.
Just fucking rip a cig, dude. Grab a Pall Mall and go at it.
All fucking gas, baby.
Walgreens has this stuff too. It's like I'll do like the numbing spray if my throat's really hurting. That stuff's good. But they have this elderberry and honey cough syrup.
Oh hell!
Elderberry is it's like badass for you.
Have you tried it?
Yeah.
Oh, and it works like a motherfucker.
It's like a throat coat. Honestly, like it. I'll just take shots of it if I'm feeling real bad. I'll just take shots of it throughout the day. And
damn, bro.
Usually it'll get you through.
Be looking over at Trenton. He's got like 3 or 4 shots of honey, and then like some, you know, like, dude, he's getting fucked up today.
I'm a firm believer in that stuff. The elderberry honey combo.
And you're almost there to just drinking lean, dude.
Yeah. Well, so I messed up one time.
You're out there. You're like, fuck.
We played in Elk City back in
Elk City gets you fucked up.
Beginning of June, we played this place called the Blockhouse, and that was like the worst I had felt vocally. Like I wasn't sick, but I guess it had been a couple weeks and I hadn't been, you know, staying warmed up.
Yeah.
And for some reason or another, I'm losing my voice and I can't hardly talk without my voice cracking all the way. I'm driving and I can't hardly talk louder than this. You know, I'm like, it's just I'm nervous. And so I go to the store. I drop like $60 at Walgreens after sound check. I'm like, all right, we're about to just sit here and just hammer this stuff down. I'm going to take a hot shower. I'm going to freaking sit there and the whole time. And so I spent a few hours just doing that, eating cough drops, drinking honey periodically, the elderberry stuff. And I've got this throat spray, and it's just this numbing throat spray, and it felt great. Well, I didn't know you weren't supposed to swallow it. Which is dumb on me, but like I'm just like periodically just spraying down my back of my throat with it, and like an hour goes by and I start feeling really weird before the show, and like it never even occurred to me like that was probably from drinking whatever that is.
Turned the bottle around and it was like, "Do not drink."
It says spit after
fuck.
spraying,
shit.
and so I'd probably drank like every time I sprayed my mouth down with that stuff. I probably drank it, and it had to have been like 10 times. And so, like, we start the show, and I drink one beer, and I'm like, oh, this is weird. This is different. Like, I'm really weird right now. Like, it was not a cool feeling. And get through the show. Like,
so to everybody at Elk City, it was a long night for Trenton.
Like, I was wondering why that guy was naked.
Well, this guy got the mic laying on his back on the stage. But no, it was a strange night singing, too. Like, I know, like, I hit the notes I wanted to hit, but it was like half the power and velocity. Like it was like I felt I had to turn my mic up way loud because it was just like I didn't have any power behind it or air behind it. But I knew if I did, it would just go silent. So I could kind of like make it on a smaller scale and like still hit the notes I wanted to hit. It was just super, super like not forced. I don't know.
Wow, that's crazy.
It was scary. It was not a fun experience. But.
That's wild, man. Okay, well.
Was it like a
don't drink the numbing spray.
Like a head high or something, or were you just kind of like
it was? Yeah,
just kind of fell out of it.
It was like drinking like I don't know, like 600 milligrams of caffeine mixed with Benadryl. Like
whoa,
just so doped out, but like you're like awake. Like,
there was a battle going on in your stomach,
dude. There was, man. There was.
You're like all I had was one biscuit, one sausage and egg cheese biscuit from Whataburger, and that shit was fighting off pretty much like 85 milligrams of lean.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
That one beer came in, fucking roundhouse kicked you, dude.
Dude, it did it.
Holy shit,
my ass.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
How long of Well, so you've been playing along. You could say you've been playing shows along quite a while now. Pretty. So have you been? Do you generally book all your own shows?
So I have up to this point, and that's been a long process, growing in that. And just recently, we got on with Wild River Talent.
Oh, cool.
We have a booking agent. It's actually with the same one Josh Malloy has now. So we've been on a lot of his shows lately.
Are they based out of some here in Oklahoma? Are they in Texas or?
No, I think so. It's us, Josh Malloy, Midnight River Choir, Jackson Taylor, and Aaron Copeland, Kenny Fiedler, and I think there's 6 or 7 bands total. Our agent, he lives up in Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, so we're actually playing up there in Minnesota at Ryder Saloon end of September.
Oh,
and that'll be our first time ever even in that region.
That'll be awesome, man.
But yeah, up to this point, like, I've booked our stuff. I went from like going from Facebook messages to phone calls, leaving voicemails to sending emails to like booking through different various websites or just whatever it was. Like it was a constant process.
Yeah.
And it's been nice lately because it's given me a lot more time to work on this record we're doing.
I'm sure,
and,
man. Yeah.
Like I've never really had the
luxury
to not think about that for hours a day. And we're staying busy. We're seeing new places. We're getting out of Oklahoma, Texas, and
that's fantastic, man. What do you think's been the most effective way of reaching out to venues and stuff in your experience?
So I would say it depends what level you're at. Like, I mean, if you're a fresh band starting out, like you just can't go wrong emailing, calling, Facebook message, whatever. Like, especially if it's a smaller venue. Like, what I always tell people is look at who is your size and who is right above your size in your experience. So, like, if you're just starting out, look at somebody that's just a little bit bigger than you. See what they're playing, where they're playing, and then go hit up those venues. That's what I would do forever. I would see, like, who are the people that were probably a year ahead of me, that, we might open for sometimes, or see the people we're opening for where they were playing a year ago. And I would reach out to those venues, and we got in a lot of places like that. And then you start getting into, well, the ones that are gonna be a more serious establishment are, only gonna do things through email most of the time. And so that's one way to do it. And
And they probably got their own booking agency if they're doing touring acts or something like
well,
that.
not necessarily. A lot of times, like the booking guy is the sound guy or the owner on a lot
Gotcha.
of these smaller venues, and that's where you can really benefit by going to people's shows that are your size or a little bit bigger than you, and you just go in and be social and meet who you need to meet the sound guy, be like, hey, who do I need to talk to? Or who owns this place, and like just kind of do some investigative research,
Little reconnaissance.
yeah, and I would do that all the time. I still do that.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to meet people, and I want to know who's who, and like I want to be aware of what's going on.
Yeah, hell yeah. Man.
But yeah, and you definitely can't go wrong with calling a venue and leaving your name and number, who you are, what you want to do, you want to come play on a voicemail, because there has been multiple times where I've called places relentlessly, and then they have a cancellation on an opener, then they give us a shot, and like that might be the biggest show we had ever played up to that point. And so,
hell
I mean,
yeah.
just like constantly annoying the shit out of people, really. I mean, everybody annoys everybody in the scene,
Yeah.
so like don't feel bad for annoying a venue.
Well, and that's what at ACM, that's what they kind of hammered into. I was in business and Aaron was in production, and so in the business side, there was a lot of like people would ask, like, well, how do I book a show, or something like that, and there's like no right or wrong answer to that per se, but a lot of times it just be like our instructors just be like, man, hey, don't be annoying,
Yeah.
don't call somebody like 5 times in one day or something, but
I'll give it a few days.
yeah, they were like, man, just follow up with your email, call if you think it's necessary, just because
Yeah.
most of the time people are busy, and
Yeah.
but they'll if you're nice about it, they'll give you a chance,
Of course. Something that I used to do, that I've seen the Oklahoma scene in particular do more of, that I'm excited about, and I wish more venues and more bands would do this. So you get into the problem of, once you're touring and you're playing more legitimate venues, like you're playing 90s and hour 45s, 60s, and 45s opening for people. Like that's just the general structure, like you're not playing 3 hours at a big concert. And so a lot of, you do have to do those to kind of have the experience and get it under your belt. But what I think was more beneficial and that I wish more people would do is these smaller bars and venues, instead of them wanting 3 or 4 hours of a band, which is ridiculous, like you can't hold people's attention spans that long. Like you're going to lose your voice, especially if you do that 2 or 3 nights in a row. Two or three 3-hour shows in a row is going to kill your voice.
that's killer, man.
And like that's just not beneficial to anybody. You're tired by the end of it. People like to see you motivated and having intention behind what you're doing. And it's just hard for somebody to get behind seeing a band play 3 hours straight that no one knows and keep the audience engaged. So what I would always do is I would kind of negotiate a little bit, like, all right, well, we'll play 2 hours or an hour 45. We'll bring the people that I think will come for us. You'll have your regular crowd. You can throw in a little bit of extra cash, not a lot, a little bit extra. Or, I'll pay somebody out of pocket and we'll bring an acoustic opener to play for 45 minutes or an hour. And then, later on down the road, you can book that acoustic guy, their band. Or you could even, if you could afford it, throw a little extra cash to book another band to open for us. And we'll bring them with us. They can use our stuff if you're cool with them, And then you're saving yourself from playing too long. You're getting that opening band some experience. You can pitch it to the venue like, they're going to bring their people too if they have people. Like,
Yeah.
you're only bringing in more people. The audience is a little more engaged. Like, they're not getting bored with the same thing for 3 hours. And it feels more like you're going to a concert rather than your background. And that was probably one of the biggest things when I was living in Stillwater, just booking around Oklahoma and Texas, that I think really benefited us and, helped some of our friends. And just it kind of builds like some camaraderie, and you establish relationships with more bands and with more venues that way. And it's just a win-win. And I think there's always room to make that type of situation happen.
Yeah,
Especially with
definitely.
any venue that wants to take it seriously. Like that's a legitimate way to make everybody happy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, totally, man. Yeah, it's a great idea. I mean, there's no downsides. Like it's just pros. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess if everybody's just responsible on all their ends, then it's a win.
Yeah, and if a venue wants to, find something wrong with that, as long as you're being professional, which you should be doing anyways, as long as you're being professional and you're not tearing anything up, you're not hurting anybody, if they have a problem with it, they're probably not somewhere that's going to make or break your career anyways. And
Yeah,
a lot of people don't want to swallow that pill, but that's true. Like, at a certain point, like if that is a very legitimate pitch you can make as a new band. And if they want to still not even let that happen or throw it in your face or like, no, we stick to our guns on our set ways, then like, I'll go play somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like,
We're
it's
not
not that
going to
big
play
of a
there
deal.
anyways.
Yeah, it's not that big of a thing.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
Well, so after you bounced from Shawnee down here, you said you went up to Stillwater, right?
Yep.
And that was kind of where you all those fantastic music, the stable of fantastic musicians up there that kind of helped bring you up and kind of gave you leverage in that quote unquote red dirt scene up there.
Yeah. So I spent 2 years at OBU, and at the end of my sophomore year, I knew at this point that I wanted to figure out how to play more shows. Like I was already playing acoustic across the state, and I just knew I needed to go to Stillwater. I'd only been there to the Tumbleweed to a concert in Calf Ride before. So I was like, all right, I need to get there. I'd already done my research on Facebook. I see that there's venues that have, acoustic shows and open mics pretty consistently. So I just knew that was the place to be. And plus, I had heard all the stories about, the Vide, McClure, Ragweed, Stoney, Bolin, all these guys in the early 2000s, late 90s. I was like, dang, like that's exactly what I want to be a
That's
part
it,
of. And
yeah.
I thought it was more like that in the modern day before I got there. So I had it in my head that, I'll be able to move to Stillwater and, find somewhere to play every night of the week is what I had in mind. And I get there and I was pretty disappointed because there wasn't a whole lot going on. There was a handful of musicians playing around town. And, Isaac McClung was one of the first ones I met. Met Chad Solons that first week. Dyson Gorham, he lives in Lubbock now. So I got to know Josh and, just got to meet some other musicians that were playing around town. And, we all just kind of consistently just went more often and played these open mics together. And next thing you know, you just got more people piling in, and the people are booking you for acoustic shows, and it just seems like there was more life breathed into the town pretty quick. And I started taking over some open mics. Isaac McClung gave me his mics, and I just used those as an opportunity to try to figure out how to run sound and just learn the basics and learn how to EQ and just learn how to test the waters with new material. And I think that's really important, especially if somebody's starting out. Like, you can't be too good when you're just starting out. You can't be too good to go to open mic. Like
Definitely.
That's like where comedians go to these small dive bars to test new material when they're playing arenas. Like, they'll just obscurely show up at some little tiny place.
Yeah.
They'll test out new stuff, and I think that is part of the growth process of putting on a performance. Like, you have to fill this out and meet people and talk and see what they're doing and see what works for them. And it's just that total big picture just kind of builds this music scene that now we're all a part of here. And I just think it's cool to see more and more people getting into it every year.
Yeah,
and
like crazy growth, man.
Yeah, it's good to see you
Yeah.
got very positive outlook on it all.
Yeah,
You
for
know.
sure.
Yeah. But weirdly, in a way, like COVID had a kind of an effect of bringing all those, with the Red Dirt Relief Fund and everything like that popping up. And it's really been a boon in a way for up there, it seems like. Because in high school, we knew about Red Dirt, right? Stillwater's, you know that. But you don't really, the effects of it are so much more tangible right now with, Turnpike and Zach Bryan even, and, just the explosion of bands right in that vein, It seems like that first explosion was definitely like, probably Ragweed, early 2000s, like, okay, now they're playing bigger shows and stuff like that. And it seems like this time around, I mean, with just the massive surge in popularity with Turnpike coming back, and, it just seems like it's really cresting, as that wave,
Well, they kind of, back in late 90s, early 2000s, all those bands I mentioned earlier, they kind of set the stage and the tone for
Definitely.
the Oklahoma
yeah.
scene, Red Dirt and Stillwater in particular. And
Yeah, not to be dismissive at all of any of their stuff. That was just a couple of the bands that came because they're probably the biggest ones. But
well, like I always, I heard the stories and I just wanted to be a part of it and I wanted to see what it was like. And like every music scene in area goes up and down,
mhm,
You'll go years with a ton of bands that are talented and then you'll go a few years with like nobody in town.
mhm,
And it was a pretty dry spell. Seemed like after Reed left Stillwater, there's a few bands here and there, but it wasn't a big scene.
mhm.
And like I said, I had it in my head that it was this big booming scene, and I'd kind of, learn myself up on the history of it. And I was like, man, they just had this like seemed like camaraderie, like they'd always play shows with each other and co-headline stuff and open for each other. And Oklahoma's not a big place relative to Texas. There's only a handful of bands compared to everybody playing in Texas. And so there's a few ideas there. Like, once we all kind of started getting our own sounds and getting a little bit established, like we knew that we'd be better off with the camaraderie of playing shows with your friends and just having a special relationship with your friends and with each other. And, kind of putting ego aside, you've got a way better chance of going and making an impact outside of Oklahoma than, if you stick together. And then at the same time, like you believe in all these people you're playing with and like you're each other's biggest fans. And like, to me, that's like one of the most special things about this music scene is like, that's such a relative idea throughout it. And it's constant. And it seems that way every time I meet new bands that are popping up left and right like this. It seems like that is an idea that's circulating. And it's cool to like just see that expanding because that's like that was my main thing I wanted to get out of it from the gig. So I just want to do this to my friends and want to believe in my friends' music, and that's where we're at.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. I mean, that's beautiful. That's fantastic. Man. I love that so much, dude. And it's just, goddamn, it's inspiring. It's like you need you're writing all this down. Well, it's a good thing we're recording
very
it all.
elegantly.
Yeah. It's beautiful, man.
Shit. I've thought about that a lot, really. Like,
yeah,
I mean, that's something that I'm pretty passionate about, and it's hard to explain those concepts to people, just like to make them learn it. Like I think it's better
briefly in passing or something like that.
I think it's better learn to observe. Like just kind of you see people doing that and acting a certain way, like you start picking up on it.
Well, off the top of your head, man, who's a couple of brand new artists or newer artists that you think people should definitely check out?
Right now, I mean, we've been playing a lot of shows with my cousin Noah Bowman, Gannon Freeman, CC Rev. You got Avery Stennett, you got Levi Walker, Adara K, Kalen Smith. You got a band called Kinlock, Brady Stetson. I mean, you can just go on and on, like all these bands. I mean, there's so many of them right now, and I claim to be friends with all of them because like I believe in a lot of their music, all their music. And
I don't think you can claim. I think you can say you're probably friends with all of them.
I mean, yeah. Well, there's just so many, and I could sit here and make you a list when we're done, and just like go listen to every one of these people.
Yeah,
and
we'll have that in the description.
Heck yeah. Well, I need to just make a playlist. You can tag the link to it or something.
Yeah.
But and I do have a playlist that I kind of update, just like new. I think it's called New Red Dirt on my Spotify, and it's just
sick.
Just like new music that I find that I really like, and it's like kind of the Oklahoma and Texas stuff. But,
yeah, hell yeah, man.
Dude, yeah, this Oklahoma scene is a special place, and
you're kind of like playing event coordinator too. I mean, you were talking about how you got some stuff that you're trying to put together, and I mean,
yeah, I've got some ideas. I don't want to go too in depth on, but I do have some things that are going to be made public probably sooner than later. I've just got to tie up some stuff and put on some events that I'm hoping become annual things.
Yeah, hell yeah, man.
They'll be good for the community and good for certain causes, but we'll keep that under my hat.
Yeah, no, not to put you on the spot or anything like that, but
just give people a little something to think about.
Yeah, yeah. The well, and I guess before we just sign off or anything like that, you played a couple songs here for us that we'll have posted. This will probably post. But from the time we're recording this here in a few weeks, something like that. But played a couple songs for us, and one of them was a newer one about mental health.
Yeah.
And do you want to talk about it, or are you trying to keep it under?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've kind of teased this one a little bit. I've posted it on like TikTok and Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah. it's a very somber song, and obviously it's a subject real close to you. So I just
Yeah.
it was really good. I mean, I enjoyed it. I tell people, as I'm filming, it's like sometimes I try not to the camera will just slowly kind of drop, as I'm listening, because I'll just zone out when I'm listening to really good stuff.
Well, I appreciate it, man. That means a lot. Yeah, it's so couple things. I'm a firm believer in everything you do has to have intention behind it. And I think people, whether they realize it or not, when they're listening to songs, they pick up on your intention throughout the entire process. They pick up on your intention when you wrote it, when you thought about the song, when you recorded it, and when you play it live. And so I think those little moments of living in the emotion that the song is wrapped in, I think those go a long way for a live performance or for even studio recordings. Even when we're in the studio, everything needs to be done with intention.
It's just harnessing that motivation.
Yeah, and just staying in that flow state, and just intent is everything. And if you listen to a lot of our recent stuff, it's pretty Southern rock. It's pretty rock and roll. There's some hard rock elements to it. There's some early 70s, late 60s rock vibes to some of the new stuff we're doing on this record. And then I'm trying to stay really true to the Oklahoma, Stillwater kind of writing that I grew up on, that I love so much. So we've kind of come into a pretty unique sound for this record that we're working on right now. And I'm really excited about it. But, not every song makes it on the record. And I've ended up with a lot of these songs that just don't fit the vibe of what I need to do for the album. And, a lot of them are based in experience with loved ones and family members and friends and different situations.
Mm-hmm.
And so the one I played earlier, it's called Check on Your Friends. And it's actually a part of a 4 to 5 song acoustic EP that I'm going to be trying to get out before the end of the year. And it's called Check on Your Friends. So there's some cool songs on there, and they're important enough to me that I think they deserve a place, on the discography. People need to be able to find them and come across them. And like I said, they're not really our Southern rock, hard-hitting style that we do live, but they are important songs to me.
They're still a part of your musical identity.
Yeah, for sure. And they're definitely something that I want people to know I think is important, and that it's okay to talk about these things. And, it's just a simple message. It's just check on your loved ones. It's check on your friends, because you never know what they're going through.
Yeah.
And you don't don't ever be too good to just give somebody a call and just say, hey, what's up? What's going on?
Yeah, for sure. Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, wow. What can I say? What a fucking dude. I mean, it's almost inspiration just listening back to this broadcast. It'll be awesome. Yeah. You can't see him, but he's blushing so hard right now.
I'm blushing hard, dude.
Well, Trenton, once again, thanks for coming out, man. Really appreciate it, and excited to see what you got planned. Got some badass shows, and people just have to go catch them, man. People have to go. I've seen Trenton live and pop my cherry in the best possible way.
You caught me the night my pedal board went out too. I had to plug straight into my amp with no tuner. That was hard.
Fooled me, man.
We're killing some cornhole, dude.
Oh,
There's a couple times we had to turn back around and be like, damn, dude. Your transitions are good, man. You got
Appreciate
good transitions
Yeah.
between songs, dude.
Yeah,
It
they
inspired us to
they
work
were
on
awesome.
transitions.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, those were pretty new then, and we've added some. Just trying to find.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll wrap it up, because I'm sure maybe Trent's got that show coming up, and we don't want him to have to go back to the throat spray.
Fucking, yeah, getting that lean, dude.
I'll be fine as long as I'm.
Yeah.
Well, okay, all right.
Always spit.
Yeah. Awesome. This has been and everyone can find Trenton at just Trenton Fletcher Band. Cool. Awesome. Been the Spark Plug Talk.